Hello there, welcome to this tutorial. Today I have something really exciting to show you guys, and it's nothing but a HTTP library that you can use to make HTTP requests. It supports a whole lot of features like how to add headers, sending JSON body, reading JSON body, setting timeout, adding custom middlewares, doing rate limiting, even you can chain request for me, uploading of files, and so much more. All right, so today I just want to show you guys how this library works, and you can go ahead and give it a shot. If you're doing anything with microservices or you're building any kind of API, you most likely going to be speaking or making requests to external APIs or even internal APIs, right? And you need a good HTTP library. It is well tested, so you can come and check out the code yourself. It's almost one simple code to understand, and also the tests are all here for you to run and see how it works. So let me know what you guys think. You can, don't forget to click on star in order to promote the library as well. So let's see an example. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go mod init. Okay, I forgot to type, so I can say in namespace, my namespace will be http lib example or something like this, right? Great, so I'm going to do go get. We're going to get it from my GitHub, http lib, right? And then we have it. Fantastic. The next thing I like to do is to make a folder called basic, and then I create a file inside the basic folder called main.go. Now let's open the main.go. It's the main package. So you give it a main program. I want to zoom this guy out a little bit. All right, everything now looks big in case you're on the small screen. All right, so the first thing I want to show you guys is how to make a GET request. So of course you need to bring in the library. So I'm going to just bring in the code and then show you. So this is the code. Of course we need to import the library now, which is coming from my GitHub account. We just installed it, so I just can change this to my username. Now, don't worry about these lines that you're seeing. It's Golang that is misbehaving. So first, you need to create a new request builder, right? And give it your endpoints. This can be, sometimes I prefer to use the method get, something like this, right? And then you can add your headers, you can add timeouts. If you wish, instead of doing it like this, you can put everything on the same line like this. That's still going to work. You need to put the dot right, and then you send it. So the request builder, you send the request, it has the send returns a response and an error. Of course you need to check for the error. If you see the library, I try to make sure we design it the go way, right? So we are returning HTTP response. And this is the time to read the response, and then you print it out. So let's go ahead and run the code. So go run basic, and then it ran. So we see that we got the 200 OK, and then this is the response body that we received from the API. So if you can go to this API, you should see that object, right? This is fantastic. All right. I really like to fix this problem of that error that is showing. So I want to go to go and go mode, enable mode for this, and then we do it that way, and it works. So in case you have you run into similar problem, that is how to fix it. All right. So this is how to make a GET request. As you can see, compared to the standard library, here we're just writing very few lines of code. We did the construction of the request builder, and then we send the request. And you can do anything you want to do with the response. So that is the basic way of doing it. So the second one is how to make a post request. So I'm going to do basic post, and I can put a main there again, right? And let me bring the code. always wanted to change it because of the example that I prepared. Let me bring this guy down a little bit so I can, let's look at the code. Of the same approach you do, build the request builder. You can add headers if you want. You put everything on the same line. Now you can send your JSON body. It can be XML, it can be anything. Then you use another method called custom body, and then you use it, bring a buffer. After that, of course, you send a request. When you send a request, you can do anything you want with the response. The response is the classic HTTP response. So this is the object that you get back. And with that, you can do anything you want to do with it. So the code to send a request is actually just this guy. Let's bring everything to a single line. All right, let's bring everything to a single line. After that, I can even put this in here. And I want to change this to, look at what I'm going to do. Right. Yeah, I remember that, so with custom body, let's say with custom body, return the builder as well. So we can go up there, bring it like this. And instead of this one, if you like, you can change this to this and call send. And then we take this out. This is lovely. So all your requests, everything is built together and you just send it. And let's now run the code. I'm coming here to do go run. We have basic dash post, run it. And you have the body come back to you, right? Fantastic. So that is how to make a post request. You can look at it, just pop your JSON in here, and then you send it. You can set timeout. Let's play with the timeout a little bit. Make it 1 millisecond, which is too small for us for the network request to complete. So this is going to timeout. Exactly. So HTTP lib request error and blah, 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 it times out. So that is it. So you can play with I usually like to use like 10 seconds for my timeout, and it works. All right, that is the second example. The third example is how to send, there is a JSON request and a JSON response. Let me show you guys. So go here, say JSON request, something like that. And then I put a main.go. Everything I'm showing you guys here is in the documentation. So, but I just want to make sure that I show you guys everything. All right. So I want to delete all this. Now you have everything. And let me show you the difference. Same approach. You build your request builder. You do add your headers. You don't want to add any header, you can actually take it out. But now this is the difference. If you think about, like here, we are passing a string into this custom body. But here, this time around, we are passing an object, a to-do object with JSON body. JSON body does, if you go into the JSON body, so that it does the marshalling of the data automatically for us and set the right header, right? So with that, you don't even need this one anymore because it's automatically set by with JSON body. All right, and then after that, you just send your request. When the request comes back, and this is the second thing that is different from the previous one. If you look at here, when the request come back, we do this we try to do io.read all into this place, and then we print it. But this time we are not doing that. This time around, we are using another helper method called read JSON response, and we just read the response into the created to do, right? That way, you don't need to bother yourself doing the whole io.read all thing. If you go inside the code, it's doing the same thing, using io.read all to read everything and returning custom errors. So that is it. Let's run it now, and you can see the result. So I like to run it from the command line. Go run, and it's JSON. This one, run it. Great. You see, created the to-do and everything works really fine. So I've shown you 3 ways now you can do the get request, the post request. Post request now, we have 2 different post requests. One is to use the custom body, and another one is to use the JSON body. And with the JSON body, you can read the JSON response. Also, you can use this read JSON response with this one. You don't need to do this, right? You can use the read the JSON response to read the response from here as well. Okay, the next thing I'd like to show is to add a custom middleware. So let's go ahead and create another folder. Middlewares are programs that helps you sort of get into the middle of operation. So for instance, if you want to send the HTTP request, you can do a middleware that first of all convert the data or add something to the data or normalize the data, or another middleware that look at the response. If the response is 500 internal server errors, for instance, it can do like a retry, things like that, right? So middlewares are really important in software. So let's look at how this one works. I'm bringing the code for the middleware over. Always replace this one to point to the namespace. So we have that same to do from the previous example. So this is the struct. This is a regular struct, has nothing to do with the library itself. But now this is where it gets interesting. The middleware signature is very simple. So this is a login middleware. Take a request and a response. So classic Go approach. And you can read the response and the request. You can do anything you want to do in this middleware. The middleware will be executed depending on where you injected it into the flow. And then there is a second middleware here that check for status code. And how do you use these 2 middlewares that we've defined? Great. The regular way is, so you first of all create your request builder. You add your headers. And this time around, we're adding the timer directly on the header here. And now this is how you use the middleware. So you see that the request builder.use, you put the middleware here, .use, you put the middleware, right? Another thing I was thinking about is instead of accepting just one middleware, maybe we can change it to accept multiple middleware instead of using the use multiple times, but it's okay. All right, so now that we have our middleware injected into the flow, we just send the request the old way and then we can run it. So let's run it and see. So I'll do go run and put middlewares and then let's run it. Great, so let's look at it now. Request URL, this is coming from the first middleware. You look at request URL, response coming from the first middleware. And of course, this one didn't run because we have the response is good. So what I want to do is to modify the URL a little bit to return something I think might not exist. So put like 0 here and see. And then let's see how the other middleware is going to behave. Great. So we've seen now that this error message is coming from here. It's a request to this URL. Look at it. Request to this URL. Return status code of. So you see that the middleware gets intercepted the response and did something. So it was the error came from the middleware, not even from the sender at all. So this is a very powerful approach and you're really going to love it. All right, the next thing I would like to show you guys is rate limiting. So rate limiting is a way to sort of slow things down. Rate limiting is when you have an application that the public, it's in the public space, you want to really have rate limiting. If not, some people are going to overuse the resources and others will starve. So you want to make sure that you have rate limiting working in most of your application. Now, the reason why I included rate limiting is because I really don't want a situation where we're going to a website and then we get blocked out because we're spamming or we're overheating the website, right? So what we have here is a sort of an exponential backup policy, and you can see how we're doing the rate limiting. So we do like retries and then we can back off and then just send it. So same approach. So go run, do the rate limiting again, I run it and then you get it. You can sort of try to make multiple requests like in a loop or that and see how this one works, but we have tests to cover that covers them, right? Another thing I like to show is file upload, right? So this one will be really interesting. So the first thing I want to do is to start like a server, and the server is going to listing on a particular port, and we can use the server to upload the file. So I'm going to just say main instead of us making the request outside. So let's look at the server that we have. It's going to upload to this upload directory. So let's create a folder. And it's a very simple server. It takes the file that they're sending in called file, and then we try to upload it. So let's go there. It's going to listen on 8080. So what I want to do, I'm going to say go run server. So this is going to be running the server there. Now let's create another one called upload or uploader, and then let's give it a main. All right, and now that we have the uploader, let's go ahead and upload something to the to that server that we just created. Of course, we need to always replace this. And then we have okay, so what I did initially, so I'm going to say is with file, right? And we have the file, the field name, and then the path. So the field name will be file, and then the path, I'm going to just do it like this. So let's put something here. Example.txt or something like that. All right, so what I need to bring in, let me switch to this bash. I need to bring in the full path like that. Uploader, so file path. This is a full path. I think so. No, there is the uploader here. This is the full. If you are receiving the file from the browser, you won't have to be doing all this, right? Hello, let's just put something inside here. And let's look at it. I'm just going to go ahead and run it. Remember, our server is running, and let's see, our server is running. Look at 8080 to the upload path, right? So time to go run uploader. And let's see what happens. Say file uploaded successfully with status 201 created. So how do we know? We need to check inside here, right? Okay, I see the server puts the uploaded file right here, which is okay. I didn't, so this is what I did because we are running it from the current directory, put it here, which is okay. Let's try to upload another one. The funny thing is, let's upload this main.go file. So let's go inside the uploader. Let's tell it to upload the main.go. And then run it, upload. And then if you check inside here now, we should have the main.go. So fantastic. So you see, upload works. It's really, really beautiful. Another thing I like to show, this is the final one, is how to chain your calls. So let's chain multiple calls. So I'm going to do chain. And we'll go ahead and put a main.go now. And then I bring the code over. All right. So we have that. I need to take out all these because I created them for the README. Let me show you guys how it works now. So we have the user and then we have the to-do. If you think about it, right, to create a to-do, sorry, let me say that again. We have a user and then we have a to-do. To create a to-do, you need a user ID. So first of all, the user must exist, and then you use the ID to create a to-do. So we assume that these are like two different microservices. One, you need to get a user, and then a second microservice, which is a to-do microservice, requires a user ID. So you need to make two requests. All right, let's see how it goes. First, you do your regular get request to the user endpoint. So we get a user with an ID of 1, and then we call, this is the user request builder, and then we call send and chain, and then we pass it a callback here. Then the callback also takes the request builder and of course an error, and then the response from this call is going to be this. So we get the response from there, and we marshal that response into the user struct. Now, if anything fails, if it fails to complete, we are going to return an error here. Else, if everything goes well, we should have the user at this point. Then we are ready for the second request. The second request, we started here, look at, we are now using the user ID, and then we're constructing a new request builder here, and then we just return the builder. Now, outside of this, what you are going to get is the same thing. So when the request comes back, it will return the response from the last call. That is the most interesting thing for me, right? From the last call, and then you can do anything you want to do with it. You use the here we are not making any requests. We are just using the object here, read JSON into this, and that is it. And we check. So let's run it now. Go run chain. Boom, fantastic. First we got the user, and then we use the user to create it to do. Fantastic. So this is a very powerful library. Trust me, you're going to love it for your project. If you have any ideas on improvement, just let me know. One thing I think, one improvement I really think I should make is this middleware, which is which I think I probably want to do this, right? Maybe I can do something like this, like multiple middlewares and all that, but it's not a big deal. It's okay. And also on the rate limiting, I was thinking, with rate limit, I was thinking we can do something around read the response header of the API or whatever service we're talking to check our balance of rate limiting and bring that into the backup policy and see what we can do with it. But so as it is now, it's a very powerful library. Like I said, it works, and you see how we are able to make all these requests easily without wasting our time. So thank you for watching. I renamed my YouTube because I want to brand it a little bit. So please subscribe and support me. Basically, all I need is for you to subscribe and turn on notification. It is free to do so. Thank you and have a good bye.